Drill sergeants of Reddit, what was the funniest thing a recruit said? I had a recruit I nicknamed Giggles, as she couldn't help but giggle anytime anything was happening or we were just still. I came up with a rule that anytime I caught her, she had to tell me a joke, and if it sucked her whole squad had to push. Formation just before chow, we were sharking, and sure enough Giggles starts her thing. Alright Giggles, let's hear it. Her response, how do you get an elephant in the subway? No clue Giggles. How do you get an elephant in the subway? You take the S out of sub and the F out of way. I walked 2 laps trying to figure it out, and finally turned to face her and said Giggles, there's no F in. Just as I got it. Alright Giggles, you win this round. Oh boy, not a marching NCO, Canadian Armed Forces, but I remember going to basic. They had us all single filed into a classroom and seated by name. So, of course, our marching NCO starts asking, why did you join? The first unlucky fellow doesn't address the MCPL's rank and just goes on talking, gets blasted. We go around the room, and for the most part it's pretty good. Then Buddy's turn comes up, he makes the same mistake as the first guy. Before the MCPL can even start yelling, Buddy says, I'm sorry, Master Chief. Yes, hello Master Chief. My MCPL just stared at him, lightly chuckled, then the whole room burst into laughter. Buddy was from then on nicknamed Master Chief. I feel bad for the guy, but I gotta say it. His last name was Smelly, as in, smelly. So when I had him come into the class for the orientation/admin day the very first day, I asked everyone to stand up and give their rank, name, serial number. So when I heard, Private Smelly, I lost it. I felt so bad for the guy. Think this answer might be backwards to your question, but when I was in Air Force field training we had a cadet Scobby pronounced with a long back quote-o. Naturally everyone called her Cadet Scooby as in Scooby-Doo, which she did not appreciate. Apparently we weren't the first to come up with this joke. Anyways, Cadet Scobby was acting as flight commander that day and someone asked, Cadet Scooby, may I ask a question? Cadet Scobby then immediately corrected the slip of the tongue, it's pronounced SCOBY. The drill sergeant happened to be standing next to me at this time and said under his breath, Roo-ro raggy. The few of us that could hear him let out a muffled laugh, and then he turned to us and smiled. Still to this day one of the funniest you had to have been there moments, and Roo-ro raggy is still something I laugh at. Recruit fired all his blank ammo during ambush response training. He crawled in ditch to opposite where the aggressors were and started throwing rocks at them. D came running in middle of the road blowing his whistle and screaming, what the fuck are you doing? Recruit screamed back, throwing hand grenades drill sergeant. Without missing a beat, that he screamed, out fucking standing, and walked away. I went through Ox a couple years back. Our RDC was a stickler for making sure that our socks were pulled all the way up during PT and would routinely yell at candidates to pull their socks up by yelling, motivate your socks. A couple days into Ox and we are doing PT and the RDC spots a girl with her socks bunched at her ankles. He rushes over and gets in her face and requests that she motivate her socks. She, being new, has no idea what this means yet. He yells it again, and she started to panic. She looks down at her socks and yells at the top of her lungs, you can do it socks. RDC does an about face, and despite his best attempt he absolutely loses it while trying to make a hasty exit. In basic training environments, recruits are given a standard set of responses that they are supposed to stick to. They vary from service to service, but generally, the standard responses are some version of yes, no, I'll do that right away, I'll find out. Part of the head game that's played during basic training is getting into the habit of only answering questions using your standard responses. With that last one, the point is to try and remove I don't know from a recruit's vocabulary and replace it with I'll find out. It's a mental thing. Unrelated to that entirely, people in the military wear hats. Your hat gets tucked into your pocket or stuffed into your pants/boot when you're inside, and as soon as you're outside, boom, hat goes on. You always have your hat with you, just in case you go outside, because one of the first things you learn in the military is that people in the military wear their hats when they go outside. This concept is central to military identity, as silly as it may seem. So there was a situation where a recruit was holding a door open for his companions to pass through. He was standing outside, holding the door open, but he wasn't wearing his hat. We were on a pretty tight schedule. He was a good kid, and I wasn't trying to make a scene. I walked over to him, and in a hushed voice asked, "Recruit, are you inside or outside?" My intent was to prompt him to put his hat on, that was it. I was just trying to help a brother out. He turned to face me, and, at the top of his lungs shouted, "This recruit will find out, sir." I couldn't help myself. "Oh, you're going to find out. You're going to find out. You're going to find out if you're inside or outside? You know what? Take 5 seconds. Find out. Go ahead, look around. Gather as many facts as you can. Go 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 go. 05, 04, 03, 02, 01. You're done. Recruit, have you reached a determination as to the description of your surroundings? Yes, sir. Well, speak freely. This recruit has assessed the situation and is overwhelmingly confident that he is outside. I then pulled his hat out of his pocket and placed it on top of his head. His eyes lit up with a, "Oh, look. He got it." I was trying to help him out, not yell at him. After he graduated, I linked up with him to tell him that situation was probably my absolute favorite thing that's ever happened in any of the classes that had come through. I heard a recruit say this. "DS, did your mother send you here to piss me off? You write home and tell her you're doing a good job." Recruit, "Sir, no, sir. My father sent me here to piss my mother off." DS spun on his heel and marched off with his head down and his hand over mouth. In Navy boot camp we have a thing before battle stations called Amnesty Night. This is where we confess all the dumb shit we managed to get away with to our RDCs and not get in trouble. Our chief had a lisp, which we all talked shit about throughout boot camp, but never in front of him. We had a pretty short guy named Patterson that could do a perfect impression of our chief. Patterson proceeded to stand up in the middle of forward again, said, "Why the fuck do I have to keep touching your dirty ass skivvis? You motherfuckers make me sick." The Emitter division was dying. The RDCs were in tears, about to fall out of their chairs. When everything quietened down, our chief looked at us and said, "I fucking hate you guys, but that was fucking funny." The entire division proceeded to die again. Obligatory, not a DS. We had a newcomer to the unit, fresh out of training, and his squad leader was a very boisterous black staff sergeant. He decided to mess with the kid, very loudly asking him where he was from. The kid said he was from Wisconsin. The staff sergeant yells, "Wisconsin? I bet I'm the first black man you ever seen." Kid says, "No, Sergeant, we have a black family in the county." Went to boot camp, Marines, in 2005. There was no room for bullshit back then, and I assume that is still the case. Well, about halfway through boot camp one night we finish everything and are in our racks to sleep. The moment the drill instructor flips the light switch off, one of the recruits yells across the squad bay, "Good night, sir." So simple, so stupid, yet so absolutely hilarious. We spent the next 30 minutes getting nighted in the dark. I still look back at the moment and laugh sometimes. I was not a drill instructor, but when I went through USMC boot camp in San Diego, we had a recruit that was a local from San Diego and had a reputation of being a really funny guy. This recruit, Recruit W, was very squared away and had both a near 300 PFT, a good fitness test score, and shot expert at the rifle range, so the D's gave him some slack when he made a quick joke. By now it was a well-known platoon fact that Recruit W is from San Diego. At this point in time we are on third phase of boot camp, so we are back in MCRD San Diego from second phase, field, at Camp Pendleton, and we are going through a run of the confidence course, which is the iconic obstacle course with the rope slides, tall climbs, etc. Recruit W is climbing the stairway to heaven, which is a very tall ladder-like structure, and when he reaches the top he calls out to the drill instructor below. Sir. Recruit W requests permission to speak to drill instructor Sergeant B, sir. The D. Sergeant B gives him permission to speak. Sir, this recruit can see his house from here, sir. The D. Sergeant B lost his composure and had to laugh out loud, and Recruit W had to do some extra push-ups and bend and thrusts when he got off the obstacle. I ordered the platoon to form up facing west. One troop asked, Master Corporal, our west or your west? I just walked away angrily and let his peers sort him out. I came out of my office and they were facing east. In basic training, stood by our beds, inspection of platoon commander. In she comes, walks around, asks everyone questions. Guy next to me, who I'm still mates with now, got asked what he did before he joined. He answered, proud as lunch, and for everyone to hear, I sold condoms and nuts, ma'am. Her and the corporals just started laughing, couldn't help it. Last week at Coast Guard boot camp we all went to retrieve our civilian bags from storage. Told to grab all valuables and put them in a plastic bag and present them to the company commander to be collected and locked in their office. Everyone comes out with all the usual wallets and phones. CC starts walking and talking about how we'll get the bag of shiners back on Sunday for our off-base liberty. He stops mid-sentence as he gets to one recruit. Conversation goes like this. CC, Howard, why the fuck do you have an iron? Howard, Petty Officer James, Seaman Recruit Howard. My recruiter told me it was smart to bring an iron to share with my company. The CC doesn't say a thing. Just turns on his heel, goes to his office and blasts Rob Zombie for 3 minutes while we are still holding out our plastic bags. We had learned over the weeks that this is his method to prep us to get smoked. Comes back and tells Howard to put that damn iron away and carries on with collecting the phones and wallets. We later learned that he did that so we couldn't hear his laughter and to compose himself. It was the one time we broke him. Required to have creases in your uniform, and if you know anything about it, you can sometimes fuck it up and give a shirt to creases. Commonly referred to as railroad tracks. On morning information for uniform inspection it was discovered someone had done this to their shirt. So in come the D's. At one point one of them yelling asked, Recruit X, are you a trained conductor? And sure as shit, he was before he joined. So he answered, sir, yes sir. Everyone got awkward quiet for what felt like 5 minutes, but I'm sure it was only 5 seconds. And then the group of them went on yelling at the next person in formation. Asked a private the difference between cover and concealment. Private said, Drill Sergeant, you asked what seems like a very important question which I'm supposed to know the answer. However, this private was imagining not being called on and was not paying attention to the question. Drill Sergeant. Thanks for watching and share your stories. Don't forget to consider the idea to maybe think about potentially subscribing. Peace.